I've recorded the same video like 3 times and deleted 3 different versions of this. I'm learning how to crochet. This is the beginning of a pouch for my phone. It's not big enough for, I mean, it's wide enough, so it should work like that, and then it'll go up like that when I'm done. But this is like the first side of the panel. Crocheting is cool. I learned the chain stitch, so that's like after you make the slip knot, it's like put the crochet thing here, wraps around your finger, secure it with the thumb and the middle finger, and then make sure this finger stays up, and then pull like hey, pull through. That's a chain stitch. And then this other stitch is basically like a chain stitch on steroids. But it's very interesting to learn. I learned 1 or 2 new stitches today, and it was frustrating, but it was frustrating in a good way. It felt like beating a boss. I kept restarting over and over because it didn't look good to me. Maybe that's OCD, maybe that's perfectionism. But really interesting thing that I learned or realized is that the more that I restarted doing that part, the better that I got at doing chain stitches, the better that I got at redoing my work. It was almost like tracing the line and building that muscle memory to the point where I was on that last one. I was able to basically do chain stitches without even looking at the yarn, which I thought was very interesting. And in a way that can be applied to life is that one of the things, Kai was talking about it on his side channel, Kai's Mind. That's sort of my inspiration for making this channel. It is my inspiration for making this channel. Him, Sneeko, and other creatives that put their ideas on the internet. But one interesting idea that he brought up in one of his latest videos is the idea of repetition, not consistency, or repetition, not, I can't remember the other synonym that he used, but like a widely used synonym for repetition. And the idea of repetition really sunk into me today because repetition is how I built the reps for my hands to really get used to using the yarn. So I thought that was very, very interesting. And in life, I've walked back towards God and made an effort in my life to sort of embrace Him more. I'm reading my Holy Bible and reading a word of the day. There's someone close to me that sends me verses and scriptures, the way that aunties and moms and older female relatives do. But I'm just getting into my word, and I think that this idea can be applied to scripture in the sense that, one thing that I realized when reading the Bible is that Jesus, Noah, Moses were all older men when they sort of achieved what they were meant to do in life. Like Noah was an old man with children, and his family, his sons and their wives and his wife ended up becoming the progenitors for the human race as we know it after the rest of us, or the rest of the human race from before the flood were wiped out for all their sins and transgressions. But he was an old man when that happened. Same with Moses when he freed the Israelites or the Hebrews from Egyptian rule and part of the Red Sea. He was an old man. He had fled Egypt after killing an Egyptian that was beating up a Hebrew, and then he had lived as a shepherd. He had taken one of the daughters of a nearby shepherd as his own wife, and God called him back to Egypt and even provided him his brother Aaron. Noah was like, or Moses was like, I stutter a lot. The people aren't going to respect what I have to say. And Aaron and Moses was like, here's Aaron. You have no excuse. And, Jesus, a lot of people asked, did Jesus just instantly age from like a 2-year-old to a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old? Because Jesus was like 30, 35 when he did all that he did. And the thing is that he was just living 30 years. Like about 30 years of his life as a regular guy. He was living on earth as a regular guy. years of carpenting and learning the trade and living as a person. Obviously, he had the wisdom of God, but he also lived as a man. He is God in human form. So, with all these biblical figures, I say that to say that. Holy. I say that, or bring those people, those characters up to really emphasize this idea that I'm starting to learn, which is repetition is key. I don't know whether it's probably because I've been praying so much for the wisdom of Solomon, the consistency to continue to do the things that I want to do with my life and sort of make an impact on the world. But there's a sense of calm and tranquility. Like, I spend about an hour and 30 minutes or so. I could spend about another 3 doing that until it's done. But I want to go eat food. So yeah, it's just interesting how God has given me the consistency and the patience to be able to do these things and, persevere and push through. I think that's something that can be, said through all of life. So I think that's very interesting. I got what's it called? My little nub here. That's going to become a pouch in a couple hours. If I finish it today. I have some other stuff that I like to practice in the evening, so it might not get finished today, but I made some progress. And speaking of Kai again, I'm pretty sure he's not the first person to say this quote, but he said something along the lines of, slow motion is better than no motion. I'm making progress. God has given me another day on this earth, and that's really all that matters. So I'm appreciative of that. And yeah, I'm just feeling good about the progress I made. Hopefully next time when I make another video, that pouch will be done, or I'd have started something else after finishing that pouch. So yeah.